to this landmark 60th edition of Ihgf Delhi Fair. Let everyone settle down. We'll just wait for a minute. So what a better way to begin our discussions, our confabulations in our first knowledge session with a conversation that looks beyond seasons into the exciting future of design and sustainability. To steer this thought-provoking discussion, we are privileged to have with us Dr. Ihgf Gupta, Associate Professor at NIFT and Director of VisioNext, a leading expert at the intersection of fashion, technology, and strategic foresight. Dr. Sen Gupta has over 25 years of experience in forecasting and AI-led trend innovation and continues to bridge design research with industry insight. Let's welcome him on stage with a big round of applause, Dr. Ihgf Gupta. Joining him are our three remarkable voices from the world of design and business. We begin with Dr. Sudha Dhingra, Professor of Textile Design at NIFT Delhi. With over 30 years of experience, she is a leading authority on Indian and global textile crafts and has been instrumental in empowering Khadi institutions and preserving India's handloom heritage. Let's hear a big round of applause for Dr. Sudha Dhingra. We'll also be joined by Anuradha Kumraji, Design and Business Consultant. She has 30 years of experience across retail, academia, and social sectors. She advises the Ministry of Textiles, serves on the boards of Shades of India and Good Earth Heritage Foundation, and brings deep insights on sustainable design-led business growth. We will also be joined by Mr. Parth Parekh, Founder and Design Lead at Design Clinic India. A Domus Academy postgraduate and globally showcased designer, Parth's work blends traditional craftsmanship with modern functionality, shaping India's evolving design ecosystem. So without any further ado, I request Dr. Ihgf to please begin the proceedings and take charge and lead this dialogue beyond seasons, the next generation of trends. Okay, so our fourth panelist is also here. Better late than never, Ms. Aditi Vitastadhar, lifestyle and accessory design consultant. With 2 decades of experience, she's known for pioneering the leather label Vitasta. That's right. And is a strong advocate for Indian craft and design, now mentoring and consulting for global brands. So welcome once again all our eminent panelists, and over to Dr. Ihgf.
So whoever has a presentation, you can go in podium or you can just walk and talk up to you. Sync up, all synced up. So when you say move, they will move the slides from there. You'll give a slide changer? Good afternoon. Welcome to the panel discussion. It's a very, we'll say very cutting edge topic because we are talking about going beyond trends. And when we talk about going beyond trends, we are talking about a consumer that's evolving, And the data says that 70% consumers today buys across the year. That means they are not focused on a particular trend event direction. So they keeps on buying across the year. 57% of the purchase happens online. So we are looking at a different cohort of generation. We are looking at a different buying pattern, which is evolving with time. I will request Dr. Sudha Dhingra to start the discussion. We have panelists with us. The panelists will introduce themselves before the program starts, and then they will present the topic. I'll introduce ma'am here, so Sudha ma'am can take over.
No, that's
Good afternoon. So, I'm going to talk about what or where the trends are going, and I'll open my presentation with a statement that fashion used to follow the calendar. Now it follows the conversation. In today's world, trends are no longer tied to spring, summer, or fall, winter, which means fashion won't be measured in seasons. It will be measured in stories. Trends emerge from social feeds, global subcultures, viral moments, and shifting values, not from the date on a calendar. The rhythm of fashion is no longer seasonal. It's social, digital, emotional, and continuous. Zara offers 24 new clothing collections every year. H&M offers 12 to 16 collections and refreshes them weekly. And that is why we hear that with Zara, you know that if you don't buy it right then and there, within 11 days, the entire stock will change. This is what we get information on. Consumers today are not waiting for the next season to express themselves. They are creating and curating looks in real time. Whether it's a streetwear drop in Tokyo, a cultural resurgence in Jaipur, or a TikTok micro aesthetic going viral globally overnight, trend cycles have become fluid, borderless, and deeply personal. Social media is a big influencer, and we hear the trends are now born online, often by creators, micro-influencers, or viral aesthetics. And roughly 50% of Gen Z and millennials surveyed feel that they have a stronger personal connect with the social media creator than the otherwise celebrity or the celebrity icons like film stars or other celebrities. India is gradually reshaping the fashion landscape. not through mass production, but through craftsmanship, culture, and sustainability. Our weavers, embroiderers, and craftspeople have preserved techniques that date back hundreds of years, techniques that still influence how the world defines luxury today. The real value lies in how something is made rather than how quickly it was sold. India has been an inspiration for last few years, and what we see here on the screen is American singer model Nicki Minaj being dressed in Manish Areda, or Beyonce in Gaurav Gupta ensemble. Opera wearing Sabyasachi's design, or Anita Dongre's design being worn by the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton. Amit Agarwal on Vogue India cover, or Abu Jani Sandeep Khosla dressing up Gigi Hadid. The brands have actually, the designers now also, I feel, do not follow the trends and they follow their signature line. They've maintained their signature look and not necessarily follow the color trends. What you see here is the latest collection that Abraham and Thakur presented 3 days back at Lakme Fashion Week. Again, their signature black and white with a hint of red. This is the look that we have seen from them coming over the years. And they have remained true to whatever their signature style is. Their last look, Spring Summer 25, was this, again, play of lines, and again, black and white is what we see here. 1111, again, a very sustainable, conscious brand in natural dyes and handlooms. Again, they have maintained the cotton kimono, the silhouettes, even the colors have remained the same over the years. Look at these. These are some of the traditional textiles. If we change the color or the pattern, it will not remain the same anymore. So in traditional patterns, we still follow the traditional colors to remain true to what the origin was. And these are the contemporary saris that you see, whereas these are the traditional archival patterns. So there is very little that has changed over the years. I am heading a Center of Excellence for Khadi at NIFT. We design Khadi fabrics and apparel with Khadi institutions in the country. And we follow and make our own trends in the sense that my teams, when they visit, they see the colors and patterns which are locally influencing the people who are going to weave the fabric, what are the traditional patterns, what are the traditional influences, and they also see the capabilities of that Khadi institution. What will they be able to weave for them or print for them? So existing setup is very important for us. I'm going to show you certain visuals of the design process. So these are some of the textiles that we have done with traditional Khadi institutions. And this has been done in Sandur, Kushal Kala Kendra. And the garments at the end would look like this. So the trends were made by my own team. These are for the existing Khadi that we do with the block printing or existing woven textiles. So again, in this case, we have made our own trends. This is a Eri collection, Eri table linen collection from Assam. Again, Eri is very strong in the northeast part of the country, and this was done. A collection for the young people in Khadi. The fabric remains the same, only the detailing change with the way how much can Khadi take as a fabric for the slippage and all those things. This is Khadi denim made in Gujarat, which was converted into a young collection. This is a collection that we made for the Yoga Day around 2 years back, keeping the silhouettes that would be required for a yoga practitioner in Khadi. This is a Eri collection with indigo dyeing, which actually a lot of Khadi institutions do in Assam. So this is the collection which was done and shot locally. A local flavor is what we always try to build in when we do any collection. Again, this is done in Assam. This is a Katran collection. All leftovers that we had in different fabrics from whatever was going on is what is the sustainable Katran collection. Again, whatever can make it organic. So this is mud resist dabu, which we did on eri silk and cotton, trimmed with little handmade crochet trimmings. We have been presenting our work at different forums, and to make khadi attractive for young people, to make it more wearable, we have been trying to coordinate it with different way that we dress it up. This collection was done on the 75th years of India and Swedish friendship. And the fabric was specially woven in Kanpur at a khadi institution, and then some elements of Sweden was put together through embroideries and printed linings to these textiles. And this was presented at the ambassador's residence. Some detailing of the same collection. We also got the opportunity to showcase our collections at Moscow Fashion Week in February this year. And it was a spurt of color that was really taken very well by the international media. And, the models who were wearing this were very happy with the comfort that this fabric has. They had worn maybe cotton for the first time or khadi for the first time, but the response for models were bigger than, whatever we have got so far. This is from the Lakme Fashion, Mumbai. Now, going beyond seasons, we also face deeper questions, and these 3 questions is what I leave you with. Can creativity thrive without the rhythm of seasonal themes? How do we honor heritage while embracing hyper-evolution? Can fast be ethical? And can innovation be sustainable? We need to explore how fashion can stay relevant, responsible, and ready in an era where trends no longer wait and fashion is always in motion. Thank you.
Amazing presentation. I think we all agree with her that fashion is no more about season and it happens across the year. We move to our next panelist, Anuradha Kumar. Anuradha Kumraji will talk about consumer and how the consumers are evolving. The stage is yours, ma'am. You want to talk from here?
Yeah, why not? A very good afternoon to everyone. And I'm the only panelist who doesn't have a presentation. So you have to bear listening to me. And I'll try to hold your attention by making it sweet and short. So we're looking at consumers and consumer behavior in the fast evolving business landscape. Unpredictability is at the heart of everything that we see around us. Having said that, what sets this context apart is the fact that consumers today, of course, are very aware. They're also very conscious of what they buy. And what they buy is measured now, interestingly, post-COVID, as what is in their wardrobe. The wardrobe conscious is what we call them. The second consideration, much as we would like to say it's sustainability, it's value for money, all those are important. It's also the value for money per garment use that they can visualize for the product. Now that shifts the trend towards a lot of classics that are doing extremely well. Fast fashions are limited to a certain consumer segment, but largely it's this aspect of a business that sets them apart in their consideration to buy. I was more recently the chief advisor and architect for retail and exhibition partnership of the Kunj, which started 2 months back at Vasant Kunj. And putting together that complex, it's a multi-dimensional complex for retail and I would say cultural and creative activities. The trend that emerged really was that consumers at the heart of it also want immersive experience. And that is what made Kunj a success. Immersive experience is a great pull for anybody who wants an experience of shopping in an environment which they can come back and talk about. Their exchange or discussions with founders of brands that are showcased, or first-hand knowledge of what they bought. This becomes very important for our consumers. I also, for this session, because I traded doing some quick interviews amongst age group less than 35 years. And one of the consumers, and I'm going to read the quote, he gave me, he's a young researcher, 29 years old, Akshay. So what he says, and I read, there's a difference in how today's seasonal trend cycle exists in the West and how it's interpreted in India by the designers in India. In India, there is a clear distinction between festive collections and year-round offerings. Applying the Western template in India doesn't work. Because the actual climate here is different, and then he goes on to explain the activities and our long summer, there's a stark difference in spending habits in India because of very economically stratified and hierarchical society we exist amongst. Trends across the world are dictated by consumers who have purchasing power, who in India represent a very small segment. So he talks about while the upper, or I would say the mid and upper segment brands dictate the trends worldwide, in India it's exactly the opposite because that segment is very small. So he says that there is a need to understand markets in India deeper before we do our forecasting. Can forecasting really exist in India? Is it viable and functional? This is where the tools on AI, and which is what you'll bring in. The trends around AI or social media can help here. If we can effectively track where the purchasing power is located and what informs buying decisions, we should be able to surprise by the sheer diversity of Indian consumers. I think this is a fantastic and very, coming from somebody who's a 29-year-old researcher, he could think through and give me this first-hand information tells a lot about what our consumers want. Our consumers and our businesses hinges on understanding the target audience, understanding kahan par hai wo, what is the region that you need to cater to, and of course, as Sudha also mentioned, the timelessness is here to stay. One thing is very clear. Much as we like sustainability, circular fashion, at the end we need to ask, how much are you ready to pay for it? What is the percentage value for money that you attribute that conscious buying? Not more than 10 to 15%. So I think that is an important takeaway from my discussion. I'm open to taking questions and answering as this session goes on. So does that work? Yeah? Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuradha. I think this was amazing to add the points. Just to inform you that at NIFT, we run a fashion forecasting organization called Vision Next. It's a new unit. And we have seen that in the Indian context, the trends are not really seasonal, but they are more related to the celebration and occasions which comes out locally. So our trend pattern is very different. We have published around 60 trend reports. We have been followed by some of the well-known brands. We understand that the trend pattern in India and the global directions are pretty different in that context. However, we'd like to know how this moves into a brand scenario, and I would like to call Parth to talk about his journey as a designer and design clinic.
Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah. Okay, before it starts, I'm the youngest panelist here, and already so much insights I've already got from them, but I'll try to keep this fun. I'm trying to show you guys my journey as a designer, as a product designer, what I do. Okay, is it audible? Yeah, no? All right, perfect. So I'll try to keep it fun, and Since we are talking about trends and beyond seasons, I'll start with something which I've written. So when we talk about trends, we often think in terms of what's next. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay true to what's real. Okay, when I say this I will talk about through visuals so that you can relate what I've just said. And the idea of going beyond season is not about ignoring trends, it's about creating work that outlives them. So this is my brand. My brand's called Design Clinic India. And this is one of the major taglines in my brand, which we use, celebrating India's innovative spirit through design. And when I say this, you will see in the images the kind of work we do. You will relate with the products. It's itself, telling you stories. So a quick journey. I began my journey as an animator. I was into graphics and animation. And later it transitioned into product design. Over time, I found my passion into lifestyle products and furniture. And it was very interesting because I come from a non-design family. I'm the first generation of designers in my family. तो गुजरातियों में क्या होता है, बीइंग अ गुजराती ट्रेडर का बच्चा ट्रेड में जाता है. So it was difficult to convince my parents, but I think they were very helpful and supportive. So I told them my vision that I want to get into this. But they were very supportive, and that's, I think, why I am doing what I'm doing right now. And of course, as I said, that I celebrate craftsmanship and India in my products, what I do. And then in 2016, I founded my brand, Design Clinic India. A funny story because I come from a family of pharmaceuticals. बहुत सारे लोग doctors हैं, medicine shops चलाते हैं. People still ask me why Design Clinic India. I said people are already running clinics. People are doctors. Let me be a design doctor. Let me fix things. And of course, everything is a teamwork because I have, as my core team, my karigars who are working for me. I'm still a one-man army. I design, I brainstorm, I do everything. But I think I respect the craftsmanship over the years. It's been 10 years. I have taught them and I learned so much from my karigars because it's most of the time you are someone who knows about the trends, but when it comes to making that product, those are the people who are actually making that with their hands. So there's a lot of give and take, एक knowledge exchange होता है, which is beautiful. So some of the major keywords, what I use in my company, in my brand, originality is something जो मैंने सबसे ऊपर रखा है because it's very important as a designer. It's very easy to copy paste, but जब आप originality का नाम सुनते हो, you have to research. And when I say because here we are talking about trends, one should be very much aware about what's happening around the globe and what's happening in India. And then you do your brainstorming, be it anything. I mean, like you can maybe read stories. There are a lot of documentaries, but you have to keep evolving. So originality, celebrating India, craftsmanship, vocal for local is something which I've been doing for the past 12 years. This was even when Narendra Modi government came in the power. I was doing this when I was studying my course. And definitely proudly made in Bharat. And because of this, believe me, there was no godfather for me in this industry. Whatever I did was because of the power of products I designed. And because people appreciated it, people featured me in all of these platforms. And I never paid anyone a single penny to actually get myself promoted in their magazines or anywhere. So these are some of the publications I got featured in. And now comes to the visual part. I'm sure अब ये वाली चीज़ थोड़ी सी exciting होगी आप लोगों के लिए. So 2 years back, there was this competition which was run by Bombay Sapphire. And Bombay Sapphire had this competition, was named as Saw This, Made This. मतलब आपने कुछ देखा और उससे inspire होकर आपने कुछ बनाया. And although the tagline was the world is a gallery. So as I said, the theme was saw this, made this, and we took an inspiration which I think everyone is very familiar with. This is a very local scene in our country, and you find it in different parts of India, be it in Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta. So our goal was simple, to keep it very simple approach, but very fresh. So this was the image I took as my inspiration, and this is one of the markets we see in Hindi. It's called Phool Mandi, and obviously in English it's the flower markets. And this was from the Dadar flower markets, which is in Bombay. So you have a lot of these bigger markets which are in Calcutta, Delhi, Ghazipur, Phool Mandi. So this became the inspiration, and then we did the research part, lot of sketching because I love to sketch. And after having this image which was saw this, we created this. And this was basically, this got me, so I was one of the top 3 designers from India which won the Bombay Sapphire Award. And the collection was called the Phool Mandi collection, and this is the Tokri Poofs, which is inspired from the Phool Mandis. So the materials also, when I say local for vocal and keep it everything very localized, so I source everything within the area where I'm producing my products. I don't export anything, I don't import anything, everything is just around me, and you have to find them. So this actually was one of the pieces I did, and actually it is one of the iconic pieces from my collection, which has been featured nationally, internationally. This got me into Milan Design Week, Messe Frankfurt, and Dubai. So I extended this collection, and this collection also, I'm very happy to say this, that it went for Ambani's wedding. And actually, the products got me a lot of clients. The power of originality got attention to a lot of these wedding designers, architects. And I was surprised that, there was no marketing as such. It was just my products, and it was telling a story. And with this, the product you see here, it's part of the Phool Mandi. It's called the Guthrie stool. So when I also keep the name, it's very important that, it is relevant to what you are designing. When you are selling something, you are selling a story. You are not just saying कि भैया ये इतने का है, ये इतने का ले लो. It's very important to tell the story and keeping the product, the name of the product. And this is one of the images from my last year's exhibition, which I did in Calcutta. And the exhibition was called Design Milestone. And I was as a young exhibitor exhibiting. And so it's not just that, I create beautiful products, colorful products, but it's also selling an experience. So the stall which was designed here, I was just given a bare land, and I had to construct everything from the scratch. Calcutta is where you have, these pandals, bamboo, jute. Material is like, abundance mein hai material. So I took the karigars from Calcutta, and I built everything. The structure was a bamboo structure, and then I had these jute curtains, which was just, it was draped around, and then I had these bamboo baskets, and then I had Calcutta, the language Bangla, because I'm there in the city, so I want to connect with the audience. So I had Bangla written in all my products, with definitely English. So this was the setup last year. And other products which I just want to show you that, again, this product was a product which was inspired from, if you guys can connect, these Indian weights, which we called mudgars. So these are the clubs which, you use for exercise and all of that. So one shape you see is a gada, and one is a bhuja. And just to uplift the design, I incorporated Worli craft. So, adding value to your product is also very important. It's not just that I'm using a material, but adding a value is very, very important. And then, again, this product was designed last year, and of course, you guys can connect with this. This is the tabla, which, everyone knows that it's an instrument. And again, I added some colors, some vibrancy, because again, celebrating India is what we do. Followed by some more products. The one you see on the top left, it's inspired from the Mumbai Dabba Walas. And then the bottom left is the Than chair. So Than is like kapde ki thappiyan, how you stack fabric. So Than chair, then on just next to that is the kullad. The kullad where, you have chai in that. So it's, if you see a tapri, chai ki tapri, you see these kullads stacked on top of each other. So we took inspiration and we created an end table with that. Then the masala kattas, if you know Khari Bawli in Chandni Chowk, you see these spices stacked in these jute bags. And then the safa turbans. So I think this is the end of my slide, but idea is that, when we talk about the next generation, a lot of you might be continuing the family business, coming from an export family and want to continue as the young mind. You have to make sure that now you have a lot of responsibilities on your shoulder and to maybe keep the legacy alive, but then the 2.0 version with you. So India is amazing. It's a huge canvas. So many things to get inspiration from. It's easy to copy, again, I'm saying, but it's very difficult to innovate something. It takes time to become iconic, but you have to be constant. So especially for the next generation, I don't know if my presentation inspired some of you, but yeah, this is me, Parth Parikh, and thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very smart way to connect with India. We see these inspirations around, but we complicate our lives by thinking beyond. So what he was trying to show, I think, is very important, that the storytelling remains core part of design, which is what he has shown us. And to make things simpler, make things more true to what you are, I think it's amazing to connect in that way. I would like to call Aditi on stage to talk about trends. Yeah, you can always. You want
to sit down and do it?
Hello? No, it's working. I think it's working, yeah. Everybody can hear me, yes, they can. Okay, hi, good afternoon. My name is Aditi Dhar, and I'm very happy to be here today to talk about the main topic about beyond trends and beyond seasons, what trends are going to be like now and for the future. I have a little bit of a presentation which I'd like to show. I promise I won't make it too long. But my approach has kind of been something that I've actually been working on as a project. And it's ironic because I have never followed trends in my line of work. So it's a bit odd to talk about trends, but it's very interesting in the sense of it gives you a sense of how where we are moving, directions, the possibilities for the future. So I'm gonna take like 10 minutes to go through this, and my presentation's very technicolor. I apologize for that, but in a big screen now I feel that it'll be very colorful, but bear with me. So we can go to the, I have this one? Yeah? That one? Yeah, okay, cool, thanks. All right, so to start with, trend forecasting traditionally has been about talking about silhouette, shape, styles, colors, especially in fashion. I don't come from a fashion background, but I work mostly in the fashion industry. My work has been mostly in lifestyle and accessory design, but it's part of fashion. But I've also worked very extensively in craft. So my kind of domain has been fashion and design, and today I'm going to talk more about design trends and the possibilities in design and AI. So just to come back to this, so fashion and trend forecasting has traditionally been through fashion weeks, buyers, retailers, sales analysis in the past. But now all of that, like a lot of the speakers today have talked about, is changing very quickly. And now we're kind of shifting our focus more to what consumers want. So now it's a very consumer-led way of looking at forecasting what the next big thing is going to be. The forces that have changed this are numerous, and this has happened over the last decade or so. I'm just going to list down a few of them very quickly. Obviously, the rise of online shopping and retail, the age of fashion consumerism and conscious consumption, faster turnarounds of new collections due to improvement in manufacturing and distribution. Professor Dhingra was mentioning about Zara and fast fashion. So this is kind of, they've revolutionized the way distribution of fashion happens and the rise of fast fashion. The rise of AI in retail, which is again in many, many different ways. Trends is one of them, and I'll come to that very soon. Tech plus buying behaviors, we've seen a very, very strong shift towards using technology to predict and track what consumers like to buy. Focus on selling faster and more urgently. This has also become a part of the way that we consume and engage with fashion and design and product. Fast fashion, yes, is obviously very clear. Climate change has also been one of the reasons that a lot of these changes have been happening, and I'll come to that as well. There are sustainability factors that have come into the picture in the last decade, and of course, fashion and design are very impacted by that. And of course, the circular economy, like we call it today. What I'm going to focus on very briefly are four trends that I think are going to be important. Again, this is from a larger, more general perspective of how design trends are going to, fashion and design trends are going to move. The first one is called the world of micro and macro trends. We are kind of moving away from trends being very specific, trends being very seasonal, like we were talking about before. We now live in a world where trends are coming from all places. They are much more localized. They are more specific in catering to a particular kind of audience. They are organic. They are very emergent. And this is going to be part of the way that we look at trends for the future. AI-powered trend forecasting, which is, of course, now become a pretty powerful way of determining what trends are going to be like. Neo-Renaissance, which is kind of like it's a kind of almost like a reaction that we're having culturally, and I think this will become very important, where you're looking at trying to go back to the artisanal as a counterpoint to the almost inevitable rise of increase and domination of AI and automation in our lives. And another trend that AI is going to become more important in is to reduce waste in design and manufacturing. Okay, so macro and micro trends, this is by no means exhaustive. There are a lot of different things that are happening. I'm listing out a few of them. Regenerative design is one, something that I work a little bit with because I work a lot with different kind of materials, but this is basically looking at design which can repair itself, which can basically, in some sense, last and relast again and again through clever use of design and tech. Consumer psychology is changing. This is obviously something that people are going to pay attention to. Influencer marketing, social media is going to be the way trends are created and destroyed, I guess, in some sense. People are going to be very, very influenced by these smaller trends on social media just keep coming. So they're very emergent and they can come out of anywhere. Circular design, zero waste pattern making. So all of these are different ways. These are macro and micro trends which are really going to drive the conversation in terms of how designers are going to design, industry is going to act, and how consumers are going to perceive product and design and fashion. Anuradha was talking about the consumer, the conscious wardrobe. These are all trends that are happening now and will continue to happen for the future as well. Another interesting thing is changing is whether, now this is a important question actually, I think, which maybe is for the audience as well as the panelists. Traditionally, we've always used human intuition and taste to determine what the next big thing is going to be, and forecasting agencies have traditionally worked that way. But now with AI, that is being taken over with data analysis and intelligent data and recognizing patterns in consumer behavior and then capitalizing on them. So will that eventually replace the need for people to predict or use their own intuition and insight to determine trends? A lot of these companies like Curatech, Style Lumia, are really the guys who are the leaders, I suppose, or the one of the upcoming or the biggest ones who are working with AI and retail. Lee Edelcourt is a very well-known trend forecaster. She's a designer. She's an author. She's very well respected, and she has been talking about what. Okay, she has been talking about what AI will do to the idea of trends. So this is something that she talks about, that it will overtake what the need for humans to be involved in trend forecasting. She also talks about the counterpoint of us going back to artisanal design and the human touch as a counterpoint, as a reaction to automation and AI. Now, what this means in terms of the Indian context, I think is very interesting, because India's arts and crafts is a very, very strong component of our fashion and design. And this is actually going to be the way that we will counter the idea of automation and AI taking over. And I think this would be more important as we become more automated, and we have the power and the resources to really establish trends through our own arts and crafts, language, our history, our traditions, etc. Products which value green design is also going to become something very important in interiors and product design. And these are more or less the future directions that I think will happen. The return to the artisanal, demand intelligence, which is basically going to be technology, studying consumer behavior and then responding to it. Material intelligence, we are going to evolve in terms of the kind of materials that we use for fashion and design. Biomaterials, which are already, there's a lot of companies, studios, and designers working with this. AI domination in forecasting is going to be another very important trend. And of course, worlds within worlds, which is what I was talking about, where micro and macro trends will kind of dominate the scene and become part of the way that we create new ideas and predict trends in fashion and lifestyle. I think, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditi. Now I'll wrap up. Just a little data for you. The recent survey says that around 62% designers are using AI in their process, somewhere in the process. There's no way we can say that we cannot use it. So in trend prediction, in the methodology, yes, AI is very important. But I feel as a human being, fashion, lifestyle runs on desire. It is not running on data. It runs on desire. It runs on liking. It runs on passion. It runs on all those human traits what we require at this moment. So I will wrap up. It was absolutely a fruitful discussion where we understood from Dr. Sudha that fashion has to be slower, and that's where most of the industries are moving at large. We also understood consumer is also looking for products which are classic and handmade. We understood that storytelling is the key, and if we can keep it simpler, it becomes a big part of the product's focus. And Aditi was talking about bio-design and the influences as such. I'll wrap it up with 3 big trends which are going to take over this industry in next 20 years, for next 20 years. One of these industry trends, majorly, most of the companies are looking at, apart from fashion and lifestyle products, also is a category called raising silver hairs. That means the products which will be focusing for 65 plus. At this moment, the silver hair population is 12% of the entire Homo sapiens, which is going to be double in next 20 years. And that is where most of the designers and brands are focusing on, right from the fabric to the typography, to a digital, to the automobile industry, where I also work for at large. Second big focus, what everybody is looking at, is something called mental health. If you have a product which focuses on mental health, you are on that trend. Mental health is not only about the products which looks for supporting people in different ways, but it's also about aromatherapy, it's also about touch therapy and many other parts which you can incorporate in your product domain as such. The third one, what is coming big, is something called play. If your product is very serious, it has nothing to do with a little play here and there. Play can be on context of colors, play can be in context of gamification, or a little storytelling to make someone feel like a child, then you are not on the track. Everybody is looking for a little game, little mysticism in anywhere in the product as such. And that is where I think his product comes out well, because it's very simple, very playful, very colorful, and we should be adding on it. I think she has something to add on. And the fourth one, which basically works on, is integrating technology in your product. Now, the technology need not be a big system in part. It can be a little QR code here and there, which you can take in. I was seeing a very interesting product with one startup running in Ahmedabad, where there's a fabric, where you touch the fabric and the sound comes in. The sound of a bird, the sound of air, and the sound of plant comes from the fabric. Amazing work. That kind of integration is something we are looking ahead in the product scenarios. So I'll just open it up for the discussion, but before that, I will give the mic to Anuradha to add some points.
Yeah, no, while you were speaking and wrapping up, 2 things came to my mind very immediately, which we haven't captured today. I'll just elaborate. The second point that you made, mental health, the need for experiential brick and mortar, matlab going into a shop, an experience center to shop versus being online. There's a fatigue of being digitally connected for that long post-COVID. So this is a very big trend, and to be able to feel, touch, enjoy all sensorial experiences has led to a lot of money being pumped into the physical spaces again. And
Right.
those are the highest revenue generating in the most expensive estates.
Yes.
That's one. The second we can elaborate from your point is the fact that today greenwashing is a serious discussion. So therefore, what Bart you mentioned, authentic stories, we immediately connected because there was absolute purity in the way you were discussing full mandi converting into such simple, joyful. That's authentic story. But consumers are very quick to see through if there's greenwashing. So greenwashing or craft washing is a very serious concern today faced by the consumers. And last, play is equal to joy. Joy is a trend which is here to stay because joy means anything that evokes that emotion. And it's a very big one in the moment.
In our last trend book, you can download it from Vision Next website. In our last trend book, we have a story called Sukh.
Thank you.
Now, why we are adding Sukh? Because Sukh is not happiness. In Indian context, Sukh is not happiness. It's not about joy. It's about the contentness what we have. It's a larger way of looking at things. So maybe I'll open this platform for a discussion. You would like to ask question to our panelists, please go ahead. I'll hand over the mic to you. Anybody wants to ask something to any one of them, you can ask. Madam, you have something to do? You have a mic there? Okay. कोई भी पूछ सकते हैं. If you want to ask, sir wants to ask something, can give the mic.
Hello, everyone. So one of the pattern which I understood from the discussion emerging is like, as you mentioned, that trends are no more seasonal, like they are all throughout the year, and they are evolving very fast, coming from like social media, influencer marketing, and all these things. So I was just wondering, like, if things are changing so fast, then as a consumer, if I don't really spend some time experiencing something, will the meaning of design have any value anymore? I mean, like with social media, we say our attention span is decreasing a lot. Then it seems our appreciation span is also decreasing, because if it is changing so fast in real time, and I'm just switching from one design, one fashion trend to another fashion trend, then what is the meaning of, or is there a meaning of design anymore?
Is this on? Well, it's a good question. We have a very short attention span nowadays, especially generations after us, let's say, or at least after me. Whether it changes the meaning of design, in some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. Because you see, trends are not something that always are just picked up and discarded. They also lead to deeper changes in culture, in society, in the way you view things. And if you look at design as a response to those changes, then it becomes even more relevant in that sense. That design is simply understanding what those changes are, as fast or slow as they may be. Some changes are deeper than others, and then responding to those changes and then creating something out of it. So in the deeper sense, I think it stays relevant. It can feel like it's here 1 minute and gone the next. But I think that's not really design. When we talk about design, we're talking about an approach and a manner of doing things, which I think stays the same. So
I'll just add a very small point. For the longest time, the debate on style versus design was on, and design always won. Today is a phase when style and your authentic personal touch to whatever you take away is what makes you successful. If it's coming, it's relevant to your business, relevant to your segment that you cater to, it's a win-win. So it's really about personalized styling and knowing what to pick up when. Nothing to do with lime green and this green and that green is in fashion, doesn't matter. You may have the dullest OG green which is working for you, it will continue to work. So you stay with that because you'll need to always understand whom you're catering to, and therefore you will always be successful in understanding how to present that same OG green. So that's my take. Yeah.
And so as a designer, I mean, like I don't consider myself a designer. I consider myself as a storyteller, which I also showed in my presentation. So that's a very, very powerful thing. Hello. Yeah, that's very powerful as a designer because, see, we are someone who have spent years in design. We know the trends. We have to know about the trends, what's happening internationally and nationally. But we also know that as the personal touch, because I know my philosophy, I will be very constant in my philosophy. Maybe, yes, I will change from wood to textile, from textile to metal, but the approach will remain the same. So it's about storytelling. That joy factor should come in because every brand has its own aesthetics. Okay, everyone has their own style. And also as a designer, when Aditi said that, we designers, I'm also on the same page that I usually don't follow trends. I try to set trends. Rather following trends, it's okay, anyone can do that.
But to set a trend, it's a very difficult job, you know. So that's, I think, where I come from, what I understand.
Thank you.
Last sentence, one last. So there was a young designer before coming here. I interviewed her. She's showcasing at the Kunj. And she said, true agility, and this is in response to your question, in her view comes from the dialogue between the modern and the handmade, between cultural continuity and creative revolution. So that's what she says. This is very well said.
To wrap up, I must tell, we think trend in perspective of products, but as a forecaster, we think of trends in perspective of a mindset. So we look at archetypes, we look at cohorts, we look at mindsets, and we try to understand where this mindset is leading. If this mindset is about overconsumption, as you said, because overconsumption in context of information, in context of opportunities, in context of products, we understand that the mind is like a computer RAM, and sometimes it gets exhausted with the amount of information comes in. And that is where we require slow products to come in at certain times. So as a trend, we normally don't see a change, we see a pattern. If you can understand the pattern, it becomes easier for us to look at a bigger aspect. So as an exporter, maybe I will suggest all of you to look at the evolving mindset rather than evolving pattern and textile, because the mindset will be much broader to understand what will come next. If this is tactility which is coming, then will tactility be there in all the products? Will your mobile be also tactile at tomorrow as such? Yeah, thank you. Anybody else to ask anything? We'll request you to close the session. Yeah.
So beyond seasons, next generation's trends, the session explored how the fashion and lifestyle industry is evolving beyond the fixed spring, summer, and autumn-winter cycles. Our eminent panelists also uncovered fascinating perspectives on how design, technology, and sustainability are converging to redefine the creative future. It was a pleasure hearing each and every one of you, and we'd like to express this pleasure by, presenting mementos to all of you. On behalf of EPCH, I request Shri Rajesh Ravaji, Additional Executive Director of EPCH, to kindly do the honors. Dr. Sudha Dhingra, Professor of Textile Design at NIFT Delhi. Aditi Vitasta Dhar, Lifestyle and Accessory Design Consultant. Anuradha Kumraji, Design and Business Consultant. And the youngest of the lot, Parth Parekh. And last but not the least, Dr. Kaustav Sen Gupta, an eminent name in the field of fashion and design. Let's have a group photograph. So please don't leave. We have another session, this time a presentation by the CEO of a skill development training program for handicrafts and carpet sector, Shri Kishan Kumar Yadav is here. He's from Handicrafts and the Carpet Sector Skill Council, which is a recognized awarding body of National Council for Vocational Education and Training, and is jointly promoted by Export Promotion Council for Handicrafts, Corporate Export Promotion Council, and National Skill Development Corporation under the aegis of Ministry of Skills Development and Entrepreneurship and Ministry of Textiles, Inline Ministry, Government of India. So I'm sorry I just talked about the next session because I don't want our participants, the audience here, to leave. So this council I'm talking about has already trained approximately 18 lakhs trainees across India in various skill development schemes.